Hi you guys, happy Tuesday and welcome to day one of the Triple Threat Summer Fit series. So for those of you who are hopping on live, go ahead and say hi, let me know you're here. If you're watching the replay later on, you guys always know I love to know who was able to catch up, so you can go ahead and let me know that you caught the replay whenever you're able to give this a watch. And I'm just so happy that you're here, whatever time that is. Hey Denise, hey Colleen. So I was really inspired to offer this free training series because over the past month or so, and let me know you guys if you have noticed this too. Hey Jen, hey Kate. Let me know if you guys have noticed this too. Over the last month or so, and this kind of happens every year, right? There's all this messaging about how to be summer ready. Like, let's just let that sink in. What does that even mean? But there's a lot of emphasis, I think, on how our bodies look. Hey, Mary. And not enough on how our bodies feel and what habits that we're implementing and all of that. There's all of this messaging focusing on what we need to be taking away in our day-to-day lives in order to be bikini ready, or in order to be able to wear the shorts that we have, or to get smaller. Like, there's a lot of messaging out there that being smaller is the only goal that you should have right now in order to have the best summer ever. And I really don't think that that is healthy. A lot of my clients actually will tell me that they feel like almost obligated to have fat loss as a goal, because that's what society is saying to us, that we all should be kind of wanting that. And that's okay if you do. I always have to say that, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to lose fat on certain areas of your body. There is nothing wrong with wanting to tone up. There's nothing wrong with all of that. However, you can still have an awesome summer with the body that you currently have. And I'm here to tell you that your goals don't have to be solely focused on what you have to deprive yourself of, or what you can't be doing this summer, or what you can't be eating, what you can't. It's like all about restriction and deprivation, and I hate that. So I really am here to give you permission to shift your focus more to your habits. What can you start doing? What can you start prioritizing? What can you maybe recommit to focusing on? Maybe a lot of you are doing some of this stuff already, or you have. I think some of the stuff today is going to be definitely reminding you of certain habits to keep in mind over this weekend and into the summer. But when you focus on that, it shifts from all the things that you shouldn't be doing or that you can't do simply to what you're gonna do. And ultimately, you guys, this gets you to the same place. This might get you a smaller body if that is your goal. It might get you to feeling more confident, which is probably a more meaningful goal, right? You know, navigating the whole summer, or liking what you see in the mirror and all of that. So I want you to kind of shift that focus and go into the next 3 days in this training series with that in mind. And sometimes it can end up with that same result. Denise is saying, I think fit and strong is attractive. Yes, not a skinny string bean. Well, we don't want to shame anybody that is naturally skinny, but I know what you mean. Like, yes, there's this stigma that we should always be wanting to get smaller and shrink. And there's nothing wrong with maybe wanting to build up your shoulders a little bit and get them bigger in a tank top. Like, imagine that. Hi, Mom. So that's just my little spiel and my intro. Now, today we are going to dive into more of the nutrition navigation. And I'm going to use the specific example of a barbecue, because that is pretty universal. We all have summer gatherings, barbecues. Some of that's going to start kicking off this weekend with Memorial Day, if it hasn't already. And I really want to go through kind of what to think about before you go, what to think about as you're there, and then what to think about after you leave the barbecue. Okay, and again, this can be for this weekend but also things to keep in mind all summer long. I really do feel that the way you approach your Memorial Day weekend sets the tone for the entire summer. It really does. Because if you feel like a huge failure and you feel gross and guilty and we'll get into that after this weekend, it kind of sets that tone for the next 3 months to come. So I really want you guys feeling super confident heading into this weekend. How does that sound? Okay, give me some good, sounds awesome if you guys are with me. And you can also let me know. I would love to hear from you what you feel like your biggest challenges are when you're navigating the social events. Okay, good. I'm getting some yeses, some thumbs up. Colleen always has a heck yes or a hell yeah. I love that. Tell me what you find is your biggest thing at a barbecue. Is it the booze? Is it the food? Is it food pushers? We're gonna get more into food pushers on Thursday. I never know what day it is. But let me know what it is. Is it feeling like you have no control around the food? Is it that once you stop, you can't, or once you start, you can't stop? Go ahead and put that in there so that I know that I am addressing the relevant things for you guys. Okay, Colleen is saying always the booze. Kate is saying, for me, not being in charge of the menu. Yes, we like to have control, right? And booze. Yeah, booze comes up a lot for my peeps. It really does. So we'll definitely dive into some of this stuff. And feel free, you guys, as I'm talking about it, if there's something you need clarified or you have a question, go ahead and enter that in. Jen, no control over what is served, not stopping when full. Yep, so it's kind of that same control stuff. Great. Okay, so actually, let me decline that. You stress that there won't be healthy options, so you'll bring a healthy dish. Yeah. Okay, so before you guys even get to the barbecue, there are some things that I want you to think about in the morning and, or maybe from the day before, just to have in mind to set you up for success right away in the morning. Okay, first of all, this is something that is not just left for barbecue time, but we are always trying to drink as much water as possible so that we can stay hydrated all day. And also knowing that when you are well hydrated, it helps aid digestion, and that is no different when you have a party to go to. So it's actually even more important. So let's just use Saturday as our barbecue day. Like, say you have that coming up in the morning, you're gonna drink your water for sure all morning before you're even getting there. That way, that is one simple thing that you can do to set yourself up for success. The other thing that you will want to do that morning is eat. A lot of times here, people will skip their breakfast or even their lunch if the barbecue is maybe later in the day so that they can save room. And I feel like there's a balance to this. I feel like if you show up ravenous, it's not a great choice because our brain literally cannot decide at that moment in a mindful way how to navigate the food. It just wants kind of that instant satisfaction. We're too hungry, too hangry to even think, and we're gonna go for it. So you don't wanna go starving, so you definitely wanna eat. But when it comes to what and when to eat, that's where you wanna adjust a little bit. So if you normally have, say a lot of starch with your breakfast, I shouldn't even say a lot of starch, but maybe you are somebody that does eat carbs at breakfast, which I highly recommend because it keeps you in check all day. But when you have a barbecue later, perhaps that morning, if you know that you're gonna be having booze, if you know that you're gonna be enjoying a hamburger on the bun, whatever it is for you, that would be where to scale back and adjust a little bit in the morning at breakfast. So maybe you're not having the half of the English muffin that you normally have, which isn't anything bad, but you're just kind of shifting things around to make room. Okay, so you definitely want to think about where can you adjust your breakfast. And then you also want to potentially not eat right before you go. I actually don't love going to events feeling full, like I have just eaten, because I like to eat at these events. I want to eat at events and be a part of that shared experience with people and have a fun time and enjoy something delicious. So I just feel like if you're gonna fill up before you go, it's not necessarily the best advice, because then you're gonna end up eating like twice or whatever. So you might want to just think about the timing of your meal so that you're eating, yes, in the morning, but then what's happening in between, right? So that's another thing. Ahead of time, this is actually not even the morning of, this is kind of like all week. Like now, if you are someone that's concerned about booze and you have some boozy events coming up this weekend, you are thinking about these days leading up to it. Maybe that's the time that you're scaling back. You don't necessarily need the glass of wine tonight if having a couple drinks on Saturday is more important to you. That's where you have to be discerning and you have to do that give and take, and I can't decide that for you. There's no right or wrong. If you'd rather have a glass of wine tonight and skip a beer on Saturday, go for it. That's fine. So you got to get discerning, but really it's not just about puzzle piecing the day in terms of the food, like breakfast or whatever. It's also puzzle piecing your week, and that can really be super helpful for the booze. So hopefully that helps you guys that chimed in about that. Last thing that you can think about ahead of time is what you can bring. And actually, hang on. Even if I sort of plan what I eat once I'm there, once I get there, it's hard to control. Okay, we'll get into that. So you want to think about what you might be able to bring. And this is, I think, the third person that's brought up control at the barbecue or whatever event. So this has its give and take too. Okay, it's fine to be nervous about what options are there, but there's a balance to it. If you're nervous because you feel like one bad choice is gonna throw you off, if you are going to feel guilty for enjoying a dessert, if you are feeling so nervous about control to the point where it's really stressing you out, that is actually, there's something else going on there, and we need to talk about that in more of a coaching capacity, right? Okay, we have to let go of this notion of control, and there is definitely, it's hard to do. It's very difficult, especially for us who really like control. And we are, a lot of us in this group are type A's. We have that perfectionist mentality, and we just can't control every single thing. So like, I think actually a very healthy strategy is to just get rid of that notion altogether. We're never going to be able to control like all the food that's going to be in front of us in certain situations, whether that's in a work lunch, whether that's if life gets in the way and we can't meal prep and we have to stop somewhere in order to eat. Like, we are just never going to be 100% in control. And so what you can control is how you're navigating the situation that you're in the best that you can that day, even if it's not perfect. Okay, so that's kind of one side of it. So if you are really someone that stresses about control, there's more to that, and that's a whole different live, or probably better suited for my 16-week coaching program, okay? So that is one side of it. However, I agree that there are definitely times, like we all know these people who never have any vegetables. Their sides are always the pasta mess with all the mayo. It's all the potato salad loaded with mayo, and it's like, oh, well, there's a vegetable. And there's just not a lot of options for veggie opportunities and for high quality protein or whatever. Actually, normally a barbecue is a great place for the protein, because there at least is usually a burger or something like that. For vegetarians, might be a little bit harder to navigate. But I think that here is where you can decide to make a dish that you are going to feel comfortable eating. And if that gives you a little more sense of control, then that's great. But make sure that you're bringing something that, maybe it's going to take you a little bit longer to prep, something with vegetables in it, rather than just bringing a dessert because it's easy to pick up, or, maybe bring a fruit salad because it's easy to buy. And even though fruit is a great choice to have, that is adding, more carbs to probably a carb heavy spread anyways. So think about what you're going to make and just bring it graciously, and just know that that's going to be something that you have that you can control a little bit of, and you'll do the best you can even if everything else is out of your control. Let me know if that makes sense, guys, okay? So those are kind of the things to think about ahead of time. Now we're going to move into what to do when you are there. So here I'm going to talk about water again. So I know that some of these things might seem so basic, but the basics work. The basics work, and there's no like fancy super schmancy strategy that I'm gonna give you that like you've never heard of before. I mean, maybe some things you hear in a new way, but these are the basics and they work for a reason. So I hope that this helps. When you get there, you're gonna prioritize that water again. Maybe you've even drank your water bottle on the car ride there, so you are still staying hydrated. For those of you who struggle with the booze, this is so important. Somebody might be greeting you at the door with a margarita or a glass of wine, and it's gonna be really tempting to say, yeah, like I'll just take that. But if you have to decide what is more important to you, drinking that in the moment just because somebody's handing it to you, or are your goals and how you're going to feel the next day and what you're envisioning your future self acting like, looking like, which is more important? So you can just say, oh, thank you, I'm gonna hydrate first. Oh, I just need some water, I'm really thirsty, and then I can't wait to have a margarita later. That buys you some time, it gets the pressure off your back, and more often than not, well, at least you're hydrating right there with at least one glass, and more often than not, you might find that actually you have some space for even 1 or 2 more glasses of water before you go to the booze. A lot of the strategies here that I'm going to talk about during are about giving yourself space and slowing down. It is very hard to feel in control if you aren't slowing down and thinking about it. That is when you're going to have control. Okay, so buy yourself time, ride it out. That's the first thing with the water. And then when you do decide to have booze, or if you do, you're alternating as much as possible between your water and your drinks, okay? Next is to kind of assess the entire scene of food. Before you just start picking at things, here's where slowing down again is really going to be crucial. I want you to look around and make a mental note of what veggie opportunities are there, if any, and what protein you're gonna pick, okay? That way, in your head, you're saying like, okay, those are my green light foods. We're gonna use like a traffic light example. So maybe this is a little new for some of you. You're gonna be like, those are my green lights, and I'm gonna definitely fill my plate with 50% of those things, okay? At least 75 if possible. And then from there, once you've decided on what GoPro options, your protein and produce that you're gonna take, you're gonna assess and then decide what are gonna be your take-its and leave-its with everything else. For me, that mayonnaise full, like, potato salad is never worth it to me, ever. I find it disgusting. Clearly, I've brought it up multiple times. But that would be something where I would say, okay, that is gonna be a red light. I never like how it makes me feel. I never like how it actually tastes. Red light food. Now, I'm not restricting, because it's not like I'm like, I really want that potato salad, but I can't have it. I shouldn't have it. I'm gonna be so bad if I have it. I'm not restricting. I'm making an empowered choice, and I'm being discerning that probably having corn on the cob is more exciting to me. Okay? So you can kind of decide, and if there are some certain things that fall in like your yellow light category, here's where I want you to implement what I call the 2-bite rule. This is where you don't necessarily pile a big heaping portion of it onto your plate, but you take enough where you can have 2 bites. So maybe you're like, you know what, that pasta salad over there, it has some veggies in it and it looks kind of good, but I'm not really sure. Like if you're like, I don't know if it's gonna be worth it, take enough that you can have 2 bites of it. And that way if you don't end up liking it, you don't feel like it's going to be wasted, or that you feel like, oh, I have to eat the rest of it because someone made it. I don't want to hurt their feelings. But if you don't like it, you don't have to keep eating it. And then if you do like it, that 2 bites, and again, the 2's not exact, maybe it's 3, whatever. That few bites at the beginning is sometimes enough to let you get the taste of it, let you feel satisfied by it, but not need the heaping portion of it. So I really want you guys to think about, during this step of assessing the scene, your green light and your red light foods. That can also be thought of your take it and leave it. And then whatever's in the middle, you're taking enough to get a few bites, and then be discerning. Okay, that again gives you more time to decide, is that worth going back for? But you have to give yourself that slow down time. If you're rushing through that, then that's where you're like, I'm not in control. You are in control. You just have to allow yourself to slow down. Questions, guys? I'm gonna take a sip of water, give you guys a chance to chime in. All right. So a couple other things while you are there. Don't stand right next to the food. Again, simple tip, but nice reminder. That is when we're going to be more likely to continue to eat, just because something is there. A lot of people, I hear this a lot, that people feel almost a little anxious in social settings sometimes. Maybe it's with people you don't necessarily know that well. Maybe it's with a group of people you feel uncomfortable with where the conversation's going to go. Maybe it's family that's stressful. There's a lot of different things that could come up there. So when you are feeling like you're anxious in a social setting and you're using food to make you feel less anxious, that's when standing next to the table can really backfire against you, because you feel like, oh, if I just have something in my hand, if I'm just doing something, it makes you feel less anxious. But really the true reasons why you might feel anxious are still going to be there. So try to focus on other things. You can always have your glass of water in your hand. You can always just hold your plate. But really using that time to think about, okay, why am I eating right now? Am I hungry? Am I actually feeling uncomfortable? What's something else that you might be able to do if you are feeling uncomfortable? It's okay to put your plate down and go into the bathroom and take a few deep breaths. I have recommended that for several of my clients, and it works. Go remove yourself, take some breaths, and come back. And then you can go and join a conversation that focuses on something a little more fun than maybe the one you were in. Hey, Amanda. So again, don't stand right next to the food. And then after you do eat, I want you to give yourself, again, that time, 15 to 20 minutes minimum before you go back and start picking at more. Okay, your body needs that to really digest, and your brain needs those signals. And it's a nice reminder, you guys, the food is not going anywhere. Like, maybe someone's picking it up, probably not, but if they are, like, okay, great, then it's not going to be there anymore. Or if you really want it, you could probably go back inside and get it from the fridge. Okay, but this gives yourself that space to slow down and really ask yourself the questions of, do you want to keep eating? What's my fullness level on a scale of 1 to 10? All of that. All right. Anything else about while we're at the barbecue? So we kind of covered before, we covered during. Anything else that's coming up? I think I covered the things that you guys said between the control stuff and the booze, and kind of feeling like you have no control over like the choices. I think, you know, even if you decide what you're going to have ahead of time and you're still having trouble navigating, really reminding yourself of what you can get at any time. Is it special? Is it not? That's going to really help. Okay. Now, afterwards, a couple things. You might feel like you really navigated well in a way that aligns with your goals, in a way that makes you feel proud of the decisions that you made. And I want you guys to celebrate that if that happens. Come into the Legit Fit Lifestyle Lounge and tell us what awesome choice you made. I am always telling my clients, the more you celebrate your wins, I don't care I don't care if it's the fact that you drank some water before your first drink. That is a win. Our wins don't have to be like this big lofty things. Like, they just do not. The more you celebrate the small decisions, like, the more those small decisions are going to come to you with ease, and the more confident you're going to feel making them. Okay, so if you have a great day where you're feeling like, okay, yeah, I crushed it today, tell us. Tell us you crushed it. Celebrate that. Now, if you feel like you did not eat or drink or navigate, however, in line with your goals, the first thing I want you to do is get rid of the beating yourself up and get rid of the bad talk. Things like, I was so bad, I'm so gross, I didn't do this correctly, I'm such a failure. Of course I did that. When you do that, you are nurturing that energy. And there's that saying, right? What you nurture grows. And if you're nurturing the wins that you're having, that is what you're going to continue to get back in return. This is law of attraction. If you continue to focus on the fact that maybe you had a few too many chips and you really didn't want to, and that's all you can talk about, that is what will continue to happen. That is just how it works. So maybe there were certain things that you feel like you didn't do that aligned with how you wanted to, but maybe there were a few things that you did well. Focus on those, okay? There is no use in beating yourself up. There is no use in then going down that whole rabbit hole of like, screw it, might as well keep eating Sunday and Monday and beyond. Oh, the whole summer's gone. I messed up on Memorial Day. There's no point in doing that because it gets us nowhere. So either way, the next day, the next meal, you're right back to your regular way. You're right back. And that, my friends, is consistency. Okay? Consistency is not every single meal, every single snack, every single workout, whatever, on point 100% of the time. Consistency is when you feel like you do have a little slip up or a setback, you're right back to it. There's nothing really to get back to because that's just who you are, and we know that life happens. This is productive perfectionism. Okay? I tend to beat myself up over how many desserts I eat rather than how I chose well at mealtime. Okay, so next time you're at the barbecue, we're going to focus on your wins over an ETCC about what you did choose well, and maybe your one focus area is going to be the desserts. Do the red light, yellow light, green light at the dessert table. What is going to be worth it to you, and slow down as you eat, all of that. Okay, so you guys, at the end of the day, you get to choose how you're going to show up. You can wake up, you can stress about it, or you can stress about it all week long. You can wake up and stress about it. You can try and white knuckle your way through. You can try to only take the salad and a burger with no bun and water and that's it, and feel like, okay, I'm really doing good on my goals. But like, that is not enjoying the joys of summer, which I'm going to be talking about a lot. Okay, that is the restrictive mentality. Okay, I want you to go into it waking up, stating to yourself that you are excited about the day, you trust yourself to navigate in a way that aligns with your goals, that feels good for you, and is not necessarily needs to be exactly what everybody else is eating, and that is good enough. And that mindset going into it is going to be crucial for your success. Okay, and if you're going into it, and I'm just going to use the dessert example because it's the last thing I see on the screen. If you're going into it stressed about the dessert is going to stress you out, and you're probably going to eat more desserts. If you're going to go into it saying, I can't wait to just, have one dessert if one looks worth it to me, that's what's going to happen. Okay, so it really is up to you. This is where, again, that whatever you nurture grows, it really comes into play. Okay, so that is what I had for you guys today. Let me know what resonates. Let me know maybe what you've tried before that works well, what you feel like you might still need a little bit more on. Let me know too for day 2 and day 3, any questions you have. Tomorrow I'm gonna go into more of the workout side of things. So whether this weekend or this summer, whatever, let me know how the workouts tend to trip you up potentially when you are out of your routine, all of that. And then on day 3, we're gonna go into a little bit more of mindset stuff. I'm gonna dive in a little bit more about confidently choosing in a way where, you know, how to navigate the food pushers that are like, just live a little, it's a holiday and all that. But let me know what else is coming up for you guys too. Maybe if this control thing keeps coming up, then I'll do a little more on that. But it was kind of leaving day 3 open-ended to hear from you what you need to hear more on the mindset side of things, okay? So that's it. Thank you guys who tuned in live, and thank you those who are watching the replay later. I'm so appreciative of you, and I will see you guys tomorrow at noon, same time, same place. Talk to you later. Bye.